Welcome back to the Global Business Report here on Arise News. Sony Music has finalized an agreement to purchase half of Michael Jackson's publishing and recorded masters in what is perhaps the biggest deal for a solo artist's body of work. Music assets are valued at about $1.2 billion. Sony is making a $600 million payment, which is 50% stake in Michael Jackson's catalog. Rapheal Irenen, he's an entertainment lawyer and founder of Temt Africa. He joins us now to explore this deal and talk about what it means. Rapheal, good to see you. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us. So, I mean, why do you think Sony made this massive purchase here?
So I would say this is actually a business move.
Yeah.
A very, very solid business move. So MJ has been gone for close to 15 years now. I think this year makes it 15 years that he died. But his catalog has been generating revenue. I mean, it's MJ, it's Michael Jackson. On Spotify, for someone who is dead, on Spotify he has about, I think, over 38 million listeners. He has 2 songs that are individually over 1 billion streams. Spotify was established in 2006.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has a very massive, he has a very huge, a very big catalog. He has this huge reputation in terms of beyond releasing quality music. I think MJ was able to amass a very huge reputation for himself during his
career.
His career,
Yeah.
You understand? So I consider this to be a very big business move. Sony is looking at, I believe they are looking at exploiting the said catalog in terms of licensing deals, in terms of royalties from publishing and the masters. So I consider it to be a very good business decision.
Now, and it's not only Michael Jackson that this has taken place. We've seen some other significant catalog sales that have taken place. Bob Dylan, Stevie Nicks, I think, David Bowie. What you know, and I think in those, not only Sony there, I think there are other. Okay, so yeah, we do have the list. So Bob Dylan, that was Universal Music, that was 300 million back in 2020. Stevie Nicks, Primary Wave Music, that was estimated between 80 to 100 million in 2020. Bruce Springsteen, I remember the Bruce Springsteen one, that was 550 million 2021. We don't have an estimate for Paul Simon, but David Bowie, he's the only artist who has passed away on that list, but that was to Warner Music. 250 million. So, yeah, you know, I guess, what do you make of these deals that we're seeing these music, the record labels involved in with these artists?
Yeah, so as an entertainment lawyer, I consider music to be assets.
Yeah.
Like songs to be assets. Songs they can generate so much revenue. As I had noted earlier on, there are licensing deals that are being consummated, that are being entered into on a daily basis, that generates millions of dollars globally. In Nigeria here, I know how many licensing deals I have worked on, and I know how much the artists or the labels who are the authors or owners of the catalog, how much they make. You understand?
Yeah.
So I think the global, so this is just licensing.
Right.
The global music licensing market currently stands at, I think, slightly above $890 million in terms of value.
Yeah.
And it is projected to have a compound annual growth rate of about 6.1% in the next 10 years, between 2023 and 2033.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So you see that there is so much revenue in that area, in that aspect. I mean, it's for example, Michael Jackson. Most of these guys that you've mentioned, Bruce Springsteen, Shakira, and others that have sold their catalogs or a stake in their catalogs, they are big names. They are people with huge reputation in the music space.
Yeah.
You understand? So people like, in terms of movie production, TV productions, their songs would always be used, like licensed on sync deals and all of that. Then there is publishing too. There is revenue from publishing.
Right.
The publishing market currently stands at about $5.7 billion, the global publishing market.
That's huge.
And it is projected to hit $9 billion by 2030. So you see the revenue that is coming from that aspect too.
Yeah.
Then you go to the masters and all of that. So there's so much performance royalties, neighboring royalties accruing from neighboring rights and all of that.
Yeah.
It's so much money. So I think it is actually a business decision. Whatever we see, these acquisitions that we are seeing, they are predicated on business, on the need to actually amass revenue, to make money over time. The more people purchase or listen to these songs, stream these songs, the more money these artists should be making. But since their catalogs are being acquired, the people acquiring the catalogs, the music companies, the fund management entities, and the rest, they would be the one making this revenue. You understand? So this is it.
Now, for the artists, because again, that your Bob Dylan's, your Paul Simon, these are all older folks. I mean, 70s and 80s, and so I think Paul Simon is like 82, if I'm not mistaken. Are they cashing in for them? Because I also wanted to talk to you about the fact that they are giving away the entire rights to the labels, and they're just getting it. Well, let's talk about that, because I know Michael Jackson's on is the 50%. Label 50%, but some of them, I think Springsteen sold everything. I mean, Paul Simon did. Talk about the significance of holding some control and selling everything off.
Okay, so in terms of selling everything off, what you are basically doing is you are assigning your own rights, your copyrights in your catalog to the company that is purchasing, acquiring these rights. So the only thing you retain would be the moral rights, and moral rights in the sense that you will be credited for those songs. But the revenue, as the person who wrote the songs, who produced, you understand, performed the song and all of that. But the royalties that accrue over time, the royalties that are, in fact, on a daily basis, royalties that accrue when people stream or access these songs, goes to the companies that are acquiring the said catalog. But then, for the most part, what these artists do is to sell a stake, just a stake. For example, or in the alternative, they can also create like a limit in terms of duration. Justin Bieber, for example, sold his catalog up to 2022. You understand? So all the songs about 290 songs that he has released, released or worked on or been featured on in the past, the rights in those songs, they were all sold for $200 million. You understand? Now, beyond 2022, Justin Bieber would retain the rights in those songs going forward. You understand? But for people like I think
Paul Simon,
Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks sold about 80%, and she's retaining 20%. Which is very common. This style is actually very common. So what happens is that they would get the royalties will be calculated on that basis. They will be getting 20% from the revenue coming. The entity that acquires the other stake will get the 80%. You understand? They will still retain their moral rights, the rights to be credited. You understand? So it's just a question of royalties are being divided.
I'm glad you mentioned Justin Bieber, because I don't know, where do we put Justin Bieber? Because he's older now. I mean, for the newer artists, your Drakes, and even Drake came back out a while back. Do you think will you see deals like this later on? Because these are iconic, your Michael Jacksons, your Bruce Springsteens, these are people with solid catalogs, classic music. Do you think we'll see these kind of deals with where music is today down the line?
So the justification, the primary justification for these guys selling off their catalogs is because they are old. So it's like a retirement plan. You understand? So sell off the catalog, you can put the money in another business venture, or you can will the money to your estates, your children, and all of that. But with respect to the younger generation, I think Justin Bieber's case is the youngest we've seen. He's still very young. He's still so much in his youth, and he has sold that much of his catalog. I think first, I would consider that to be a business decision too. $200 million is huge. And in terms of whether we would see deals like this in the nearest future, the answer is yes.
To continue.
Even as a lawyer, I know I recently worked on a publishing deal. I think that was last year for a Nigerian artist. A publishing deal that was worth over $500,000.
Okay.
for just a 5-year duration, like a
Right.
5-year term.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand? They would have rights to the publishing. Okay, let me give context.
Okay.
So when you hear masters and you hear publishing,
Yeah.
they are different.
Yeah.
In a song, there are two types of copyright in a song. You know, ownership of a song is a product of the copyright.
Yeah.
So there are two components of copyright in a song. We have copyright in the sound recording and copyright in the musical work or the musical composition.
Yeah.
Now, the musical composition is the underlying composition.
The beats and all that.
The songwriting
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all of that.
yeah.
Then the sound recording is the substantive song itself. You understand? Now, I worked on a deal for a Nigerian artist that saw the foreign company, the foreign entity, paying over $500,000 just for a 5-year term, just to have a right in the publishing,
Right.
in the musical composition, and not the masters or the sound recording.
Interesting.
You understand? So I believe that in the nearest future we would see deals like this. You understand? And I also believe that some of these top artists, like Drake that you mentioned, there may be companies by the side making proposals to them already. I mean, we want your catalog.
Yeah.
You understand? Like Justin Bieber, for example, the Justin Bieber's case that we saw rather, Justin Bieber has over 77 million listeners on Spotify alone.
Right.
You understand? He has
to talk
songs,
of Apple and
Music,
other-
YouTube.
right.
You understand?
Right.
Even within the African, even bringing it down to the African context, we have Rema that has over 1 billion streams with just one song.
Right,
With
right,
Calm Down.
right.
You understand? We have the likes of Essence by Wizkid,
Yeah.
Last Last by Burna Boy, Peru by Fireboy. These are songs that went international that we know for a fact that they will be the subject of sync deals in years to come.
Yeah.
Even currently, we're seeing sync deals that involves these songs. You understand? So I think yes. The answer is yes.
They'll continue.
In conclusion, yeah.
Right, we could talk about this for hours on end. There was another matter I wanted to bring up. Maybe we'll have to bring you back to discuss that. This whole issue of African Grammys, but I think we've run out of time. But Ralph, it's always a pleasure having you on to break. Music is a big business, right?
It's a very big business.
You know,
A
and
very,
so
very big
it's good to know
business.
you're working on deals so see that, because I was going to ask you whether Nigerian artists are engaged in this, and you've already answered that.
Yeah,
They're doing the same
heavily
thing.
engaged in it.
Yeah. Rapheal Irenen, who is, of course, an entertainment lawyer and founder of Temt Africa. Thank you so much for breaking down this massive Sony Music and Michael Jackson catalog deal. Appreciate your time always.